You're listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast, talking TV shows and movies in easily digestible chunks.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and other assorted gender assignations. Welcome back to the Bored to Death Bingecast. I am Jay, being joined by
Chris,
Sam. We've got Zeke and Nami. Cat is not present. Is napping like cats do. If it seems like people were slow to respond to some of the intro stuff there, it's because everybody else is literally eating dinner from burger places around me. I'm the only one not currently eating, but that's because I had a snack on the way home.
I went to one of the small places that's not corporate or franchise.
Well, it is kind of franchise.
Oh. It is kind of franchise, but Burger Shack.
Not as many.
Give them your
shout
business.
Out to Burger Shack.
Shout out to Burger.
But shout out.
Shout out, yes.
Hey, do not hate the corporate combination. They give us free food. It's cheaper.
Support your local businesses. At any rate, we are back for WandaVision, episode 3. Chris wasn't able to join us last week for the first 2 episodes because, work. But he has seen the first 2 episodes, so let's get your thoughts.
So I like how they did it in terms of trying to make it look like those old-time black and white TV shows like I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke, Gilligan's Island when it was still black and white.
Oh, we didn't think about that one.
We didn't think about Gilligan's Island, oh my god.
And I want to say Beverly Hillbillies also, but I don't know if I should categorize it with those shows. It was still one of the black and white shows that was on at that time.
And then eventually also, I think...
Well, they're more doing sitcoms.
Yes. I know that they based the interior of the house on the house from the Dick Van Dyke show.
Yep. Or at least they did in the first episode. Second episode, they obviously shuffled stuff around.
Well, I know that in the second episode, the outside of the house is supposed to be the house from... I think they reused the house. The one from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. The one that the Griswolds lived in.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it turns out it wasn't that far from where they were filming in the studio, so they just went over there. Yeah.
Hey, reuse old sets whenever possible.
Oh, yeah. The second episode, I got a lot of I Dream of Jeannie vibes off of
Bewitched.
it.
And Bewitched, too.
Yeah, and Bewitched.
I mean, the opening didn't give that.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I like how they're paying homage to all these old TV shows, because I know I'm not from that era, but I did grow up watching a lot of those shows, like I Love Lucy. I did watch that, and I'm honestly glad it's also on CBS All Access.
Yep.
Nick and Hay is where we got our access to it mostly.
And then TV Land came around. I also grew up with Gilligan's Island.
Yep. I remember all those old shows.
So, yeah, a lot of these shows I did grow up. Now, I'm honestly surprised they didn't decide to add a little bit of Three Stooges in with it also, but I guess the magic...
It's a little too slapsticky.
Yeah. And the Three Stooges were more like...
1930s.
Yes, and they were also more movie, shorts and stuff that they would put into the whole...
Before TVs came around.
Before TVs came along. And this is specifically about TV, so...
But, yeah, I like that. I like the mystery behind whoever is keeping Wanda and Vision in this,
in TV land?
This, TV... Literally...
in Pleasantville, basically.
Yeah, literally in Pleasantville. And then in, the second episode, right at the end, is when it went full color, and, what was it that you and I had discussed about how it seems like every single episode takes place during a different decade?
Yeah, it's 50s, 60s,
60s, and now the
70s.
So I'm expecting to see Shag Carpet in this one.
Yeah, probably. And of course, we know that S.W.O.R.D. is monitoring what's going on. Whether they're involved in keeping her in there, we don't know.
Probably because of how powerful they know she is, because she nearly killed Thanos herself.
Yeah. Zeke has
so my
something
question
to
you, Welligo Knowledge. Who do you think is pulling the strings for episode 1 and 2 so far?
Who do you think is keeping her in Pleasantville?
Well, the problem is that I'm not really all that familiar with S.W.O.R.D. because they weren't in any of the comics that I had read when I was a kid, when I was growing up. And if you really think about it, who do you know more about, S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.W.O.R.D.?
It's always been S.H.I.E.L.D.
Exactly. But granted, S.W.O.R.D. is, I know it's supposed to be like a
Shield deals with stuff on Earth. Sword deals with everything else.
Yeah, like an offshoot of Shield.
It is
but they
literally
are
a sister organization.
Yeah. But
Wouldn't
this
that
is
put them in line with Nova Corps.
Probably. Well, Nova Corps
is literally Marvel's Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sword is basically like, we're the line of defense against all you extraterrestrials.
So they're the Justice League Tower in space.
There you go.
Watchtower?
Yes.
The Watchtower.
Well, yeah, if you had the Avengers located in space, not on Earth and New York. I'm about to shoot that robot one of these days.
Our little pet robot's making noise off. Again.
But yeah, like I liked it. I like the mystery of who's keeping Wanda and Vision there. I was originally thinking like somebody from S.H.I.E.L.D. who maybe started Sword is in charge.
Yeah.
Like for some reason I was thinking Maria Hill.
Could possibly be.
Like Sword was probably formed after the after Endgame, after Thanos.
Yeah,
and
maybe
everybody.
it's like the new organization now that Shield's. What I read about Agents of Shield is correct, when Agents of Shield ended, Shield as an organization was entirely like disbanded. So it's if Sword is now like the new organization.
Well, you technically see that happen twice in the MCU.
True.
Once after Winter Soldier, and then you see it get reformed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't really finished watching the season yet because I know that the last season involves time travel. Like the first
Which
episode,
is always fun.
The first episode takes place pre-World War II, and the agents have to save one of the early members of Hydra. But that's
probably to prevent some sort of time paradox.
Exactly.
Stuff, yeah.
Because they were like, oh well, without Hydra, you don't have S.H.I.E.L.D., you don't have all these other things that are supposed to happen. So that. So
the whole Hitler time travel exemption act. You can't go back to kill Hitler because then something worse happens.
Unless you're Deadpool.
Well, yeah.
Well, then that gets cut out of the movie completely.
Yeah.
Until the director's cut comes out.
There's also the whole things like who's the beekeeper supposed to be.
We think it's Swarm.
Yeah, I did say that on last week's Bingecast. The Swarm, the Nazi made of bees.
Well, I know. Again, this is a character I'm not all that familiar with. I know the character is German.
Mm-hmm.
I know the character is a member of the Sinister Six. One of the members of the Sinister Six,
or at least one version of the Sinister Six.
Yeah, I don't know which lineup that is.
Yeah,
Pardon the crinkling.
It doesn't matter.
But if they're going for like the Ultimate Universe route, the majority of, with the exception of Green Goblin, of course, but like the majority of the Sinister Six were former Hammer Industries employees.
So, yeah.
If I'm playing charades, why do you stop talking?
Because we want to participate.
We were watching,
we want to participate. Is it I Love Lucy?
2 words. Sounds like.
Feed me, I'm fat.
Anyway. But yeah,
so you have no guess on who you think it is?
I have no idea on who it could be. Like I said, I'm not really that familiar with Sword.
And the only reason I went with Swarm as a theory is because of the Strucker commercial.
Yeah, that would have been a good giveaway. But like I said, I would honestly prefer them to kind of like stray away from that a little bit. It's like Superman constantly using Lex Luthor as a villain in the movies. Like, you have other organizations. Like, when they brought in AIM, I was happy.
Yeah.
Hammer.
Yeah, like, I would love them to bring Hammer Industries back because we haven't seen Hammer Industries since Iron Man 2. So I can...
Well, he got arrested, so...
Yeah, but who knows what's going on with his company? So they haven't really explored
this is
that.
True.
So I would rather them say that it's Hammer Industries doing like human experiments, because that's how they created people like Sandman.
It could be that AIM is still out there. Yeah, the guy that created it in the MCU got taken down in Iron Man 3, but AIM itself could still be out there. And they have a hexagon-shaped logo. And hexagons have been all over the place.
The head of AIM it always holds the rank of Scientist Supreme.
Yeah.
So it's whoever the Scientist Supreme is.
Which, on the keynote, would add to Spider-Man 3, since this is supposed to tie in with Spider-Man 3 somehow.
Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange and the
Multiverse
of Madness.
AIM would fit in pretty well for that aspect.
For the technology?
Technology, and he's a major Spider-Man villain.
Yeah. So,
We don't really know. I'm curious, but talking to like the commercials, I'm curious to know what commercial we're going to get in this episode. And this is something I read after we did the binge. All of the commercials are supposed to be tied to Wanda's life.
well, did you hear the other sound effects that the toaster made?
Yes, it was basically making a beeping sound.
No. The other ones that it was making.
What?
It made the power down sound effect that Iron Man's suit makes. Yeah, it made that. It made that sound. It made several other sound effects. Most of them having to do with Tony Stark.
Yep. Now, so we have Stark Industries, who made the bomb that killed her family. From the first episode, we have Strucker/Hydra, who took her in and experimented on her to give her powers, thanks to the Mind Stone. And so, what's going to be in episode 3? Maybe
I'm guessing something Ultron related.
that's what I was about to say.
Now,
is it a blender that cuts everything to pieces?
There you go.
It slices, it dices.
It cuts chili and fries.
It also makes Julian fries.
Who's Julian? Where's from?
Anyway, so yeah, we've, I think, talked enough here. So, everybody ready to binge?
Ready?
All right, it is time to binge
For the children.
For the kids.
While the binge is happening, thanks for listening to our podcast. Please give us a like and subscribe and spread the word. You can reach us on social media on Facebook or Twitter at BTD_Bingecast. The Bored to Death Clan is part of the CKCC Radio podcast family, including J Bunny's Music Hub, the Race Nerd Podcast, Real Paranormal Talk, Ranking Tracks, Motivational Moves, Girls Who Like, and The Nerd Table. Please consider supporting CKCC Radio on Patreon. And now, the binge is done, so let's get to the discussion.
And we're back. So, before we get into discussing the episode, we should note that there are now actually titles to the episodes. Last week it was just episode 1, episode 2. Now it's they actually have episode titles. Like episode 1 is called Filmed Before a Live Studio Audience.
Don't touch that dial, and then Now in Color.
Yep, and this one was very much 70s, in terms of the fashion, including the hairstyles.
And the shag carpet.
Shag carpets. You were commenting on that.
I've seen enough stuff from the 70s to know that shag carpets definitely existed. Like, I was honestly picturing that they were going to use, like, a That 70s Show set for it. But if it was, like, flipped.
Yeah.
I got a feeling of, like, Brady Bunch.
Yeah, I was saying, that was a Brady Bunch opening.
Yeah. Very Brady Bunch with the hexagons everywhere. The hexagons are all over the place.
Except nobody threw a football at Wanda's nose.
Well, this is WandaVision. It's her perfect world.
So yes. It wouldn't be thrown at her anyway. It'd be thrown at the nosy neighbor.
Both of them.
But the basic plot of this one is, yes, Wanda's pregnant. And it's proceeding way faster than it should.
And Vision even said, well, you're 9 months early.
Yeah. It's like, well, based on what they were talking about when they had the doctor over to do the little examination, it was like literally the next morning after she suddenly discovered she was pregnant. And then by the end of the episode, she's given birth. So, very, very accelerated.
But I think she was also starting to, like, see things that she should not have been seeing.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of that sort of in this episode. We'll get to that, but and so a lot of the plot of the episode is her powers are going a little bit haywire thanks to
the pregnancy.
Thanks to the pregnancy, which is affecting stuff in the house, and then as it turns out in the rest of the neighborhood as well. But we're getting the sense that the other people in Westview, which is what Pleasantville is called here, are in on some sort of secret. We had Agnes there and Herb, the black guy from the last episode. Black guy now lives next door, and it was literally trimming the hedges, and then suddenly, as Vision turns back to look at him, he's suddenly gone a little bit too far, and his little chainsaw is cutting through the brick wall.
The brick prop wall.
Yeah.
Which I was looking at it like, are you trying to reveal something here?
Are you trying to escape? Trying to cut through a wall, perhaps. And Geraldine turns up again, and well, by the end, by the end of the episode, Wanda's given birth, and she'd been trying to hide it from Geraldine throughout the episode by trying to position something in front of her belly, and then unfortunately another coat standing behind the counter, and then she can't hide it anymore, and she's literally about to squeeze out the baby, and lo and behold, she has twins.
Yeah, which is accurate with the comics.
Yep.
Was it twin boys though?
Yes.
Okay.
In the comics, they are named Tommy and Billy, and they go on to be the superheroes Speed and Wiccan.
Okay.
Literally parallels of
Wanda and
Vision in this episode, because more Pietro, and yeah, that's true. Well, and talking of Quicksilver, they have been sort of playing fast and loose with how Vision's powers sort of work. He wasn't doing any of his phasing through stuff in this episode. He was more just super fast. Still a synthoid or whatever they called him, but he's now just doing super speed and not phasing through things at all. And that's a little bit odd.
Well, I mean, I know that in the comics, he does have various powers. I mean, seeing as how he's technically a machine, and I know that in the comic, outside of the MCU, he has the mind of Wonder Man in him, because Vision was originally a villain. Wonder Man, because his body was heavily damaged, but his mind was still strong, they transferred it over. Freaking Spock with Dr. McCoy, where he passes catcher on to Dr. McCoy at the end of Star Trek 2.
And talking of Wonder Man, there was a thing I read about an Easter egg in the previous episode during the opening, the animated opening, as Vision is phasing through the floor and stuff, going from the bedroom down to the kitchen or whatever.
Right.
There's stuff you see sort of in the walls. One of them is a helmet that belonged to the character Grim Reaper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who is Wonder Man's brother.
See, I didn't know those two were brothers.
Well, if I'm remembering what I read correctly, so there's an interesting little thing there. But it's becoming a lot more clear that Wanda is somehow complicit in whatever is going on in Westview.
Yeah, because of what a certain character... Oh, do you want to tell them what your theory was, or what you had read on who the chick was?
I'll get to Geraldine in a bit, because I still don't know if that's true or not. I suspect probably is.
It would surprise me,
especially based on the ending to the episode.
Yes,
but early in the episode, Vision started noticing some stuff was a little bit strange based on his interactions with Herb, and that Wanda's suddenly pregnant overnight and so far along when she shouldn't be.
Especially with the details that the doctor gives them in terms of how big the baby's supposed to be per month.
Yes, and he starts basically piecing it together, that there's something else going on, and then literally it's like there was a skip in the
Matrix broke.
Yeah, like a skip in the film reel or whatever, and it resets the scene.
Yeah, I like what Sam said, where she noped it back.
Yeah, she noped it back real
She's
fast.
Like, that was getting a little too close to home. Nope.
And at the end of the episode, as Vision is leading the Doctor, whom he literally run across town to pick up and bring back,
who was going on vacation but was conveniently experiencing
car troubles.
Yeah.
As Vision is escorting him outside, he's basically like, "Hope you can still make your trip." And the Doctor just basically says, "I don't think I'm going to be able to get away." Small towns, you just can't escape. And you can see Vision just sort of like, what?
He's like, "Oh, that's a quirky." Wait.
And then
that's not a saying.
And then he turns around and sees Agnes talking with Herb, and the two of them are like, clearly like trying not to be overheard, sort of thing. And Vision goes over to just be friendly neighbor guy and talk to them, and it very quickly becomes clear that they're trying to hide something. But they're like,
did hear him say something, Wanda,
and they ask if she's alone inside, and with Geraldine, and that's when they're like, she's new in town. She doesn't have anyone. There's no family, no husbands, no home.
But Vision was like, well, I mean, not everybody gets married.
Yeah, he's trying to like give a valid excuse, sort of thing, and he's clearly aware something else is going on. But as Herb starts basically looking like he's about to reveal something, Agnes turns and gives him a look, and he just sort of clams up. Agnes then leaves. And Herb's just sort of like, well, I gotta get going, and he leaves.
He's like, all right, well, bye, neighbor.
But while this has all been going on, Wanda has, looking at the twins in their rocker, she just suddenly goes, I was a twin, and I had a brother named Pietro, and Geraldine sort of blinks like she's remembering something. Is like, he was killed by Ultron. And then Wanda suddenly like turns and looks at her. Is like, "What did you say?"
And she's like,
"Oh, what you say to me?"
And she tries to, Geraldine tries to like cover, tries to like cover it up. And
like, I don't know. I was just saying.
And Wanda's not having it until she basically yeets her out of Westview.
Like literally yeets her out because we don't see what happens to her. She never leaves the house. Vision just goes in and goes, "Where's Geraldine?" She goes,
"Oh, she had to go home."
She had to go. Well, it was the tone and like her facial expression.
Which at that point in time, she was moving her hands, and we went to widescreen.
Yes, the aspect ratio suddenly shifted to widescreen.
Well, yeah, because like the real world is supposed to be
in full 1080p.
Yeah.
Whereas in 4K and everything, whereas life in Westview is about to hit the 80s. So.
Okay, so the headline. So there's a scene where one of the characters is reading a newspaper.
Jones.
He's reading a newspaper, and it says 2 fire hydrants added on Mars.
What?
But the way hydrants is positioned, it looks like you don't see the rest of it. You just see HYDR.
Hydra.
Yeah. And let's talk about the fake commercial in this episode for Hydra Soak.
I didn't really like. I understand the Hydra connection, but I didn't really understand the whole thing about the soap.
It was like it was meant to sort of like make your bath more luxurious, sort of thing, to get away without getting away.
I was thinking.
I got like brainwashing vibes out of it.
I was thinking Tahiti.
It's a magical place.
Yes.
That's why I was like, I was about to say something like, hush! I'm like, but I want to say Tahiti!
I want to say the word.
Well, and furthermore, Wanda, as she was looking at Geraldine, noticed that she was wearing a pendant that was shaped very much like the sword logo.
At first glance, before I forgot what I was watching, I was like, "The hell is she wearing an upside down cross for?"
But that's when I was like, she works for Sword.
And this episode has made me change my opinion completely.
Why?
At first I thought it was Hydra controlling them. And that they were using Vision's brain to program into Wanda to make him all one happy universe. No, my friend. Wanda is the evil person this time.
Well, yeah, because this The story for this is loosely based off of House of M.
Yeah.
For those of you not familiar with House of M, Wanda essentially wipes out 70% of the mutant population by taking away their powers and make them
That
human.
happens at the end of House of M.
Yeah.
Prior to House of M, she basically used her reality warping powers to basically make it so mutants were in charge, and the House of M, Magneto, Pietro, and Wanda,
Yeah.
and the rest of their sort of family were the rulers of the world.
So
and then she's sort of, the truth is sort of revealed to her, and she sort of goes crazy. Just goes, no more mutants. Wipes out their powers.
Well, like I said, not all of them, because I remember, again, this is the character Chamber.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing one of the images from one of the comics of Chamber, whose powers leave like a huge hole, like his jaw, the bottom part of his jaw is gone, and the majority of his chest is gone, and his powers essentially flow out of him. Well, because his powers were taken away, he was one of the ones who was affected by it.
It doesn't,
taking
the powers away didn't fix him. It just took the powers away.
And instead, basically what it is the image from the comic is him laying in like a hospital bed with a bunch of tubes going into his chest cavity, trying to keep him alive.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly wondering if this is going to, by the end, I'm assuming that by the end we're going to get that Halloween episode that we've seen from the trailers where Vision and Wanda are dressed up as their their comic book counterpart versions, and where he changes from comic book Vision to MCU Vision, and then that's when everything is going to unwind.
I also now think the Doctor might be another implant into the program, like Geraldine.
Probably.
Because remember, after she'd given birth to the first of the twins, she and the Doctor go off into the kitchen to talk. We don't see or hear what they were talking about. I thought that was a little bit suspicious. And the way he was emphasizing it's so hard to escape before he left made it seem like he was trying to plant that thought into Vision's head.
Clearly not that hard to escape. All you gotta do is go poke Wanda with a stick.
Yes, but Geraldine got lucky that all that happened to her is that she got yeeted out of Westview and into the reality outside the bubble or whatever it is. And it's clear that Westview actually is an actual town in the MCU, but Wanda's powers or whatever is going on there has basically put essentially a dome over it.
Yeah, she's essentially created her own perfect little world, and
anything that threatens to make it seem too strange, she just nopes out of there.
So I'm honestly wondering, because I know that this movie, this show is supposed to lead into the second Doctor Strange film.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how he is going to eventually get involved with it.
This is true.
Well, this shows the reason
I do think that Zeke has something to say.
I am here to stop the madness. Will Child, stop that. Let's go to the universe now. That's what's going to happen.
Well, so
Nah.
I know that.
I mean, that would be funny if that's all that happens, but it's not going to be that.
Based on what I've been reading, the villain for the second Doctor Strange film is supposed to be Nightmare. So I'm wondering if he is doing something to Wanda.
Maybe.
My thing is, basically what he said is, Doctor Strange is coming over here to grab Wanda, because we got a movie to make. Bye. That's what it sounded like you were saying, Zeke.
But from what I'm also hearing,
Jump in there. I'm gonna grab Wanda. We got some movies.
To be continued in the Multiverse of Madness.
Next season.
Watch that be the end of episode 9.
assuming we get a second
Alright,
season.
stop your playing around. We gotta go movie.
I don't know about that. Because I honestly don't know how you would continue it after you reach the end of... You reach, present day in terms of the time period in the...
Of what's
Easy.
going on in the universe.
Easy.
Yeah.
Jetsons.
So we're gonna have a Jetsons themed episode.
Yes.
And then no.
Well, we didn't get a Flintstones.
No. I was about to say you need to do Flintstones first, then you do Jetsons,
And
then you have the crossover with the great Gazook or whatever his name is. Gazoo, that's what it was.
Alright, dum-dum.
And I don't know where you go from there, but
We bring Q into it.
No, it's Scooby-Doo. You get Vision as Fred, you get Wanda as Dad.
do we then get a supernatural crossover?
Only if you can get the two in it. I'm really curious as to how this is going to lead into, because based on what I've seen from, again, the trailers, is that it looks like once Vision starts to, like, really see things, because based on what I saw in the trailer, he, like, looks up and that's when he starts seeing the weird red flickery shit that what we saw at the end of this episode, where it's clearly like a dome.
The dome, essentially.
Yeah, where he sees the dome, and that's when he, I guess, puts two and two together, and that's when he's
trying to wake up Wanda, sort of thing.
Yeah. So, like, the next question is this Vision pre-Vision before Thanos ripped the stone from his forehead, or is this a Vision that Wanda made?
I suspect he's a construct that she made.
My big thing about this is her coping mechanism. This whole world she's inside of this little bubble is her coping mechanism for losing Vision.
Not
And
just
her
losing
brother.
Vision, and her brother and Vision, and
her parents.
the fact that she lost several years because she got snapped.
Yeah.
She comes back. Everybody else has sort of moved on.
Except for her.
And for her, it's literally just a few minutes later.
Well, she was in the fight, too.
Yeah, because like I said,
She was in the final fight.
Like I said, she almost killed Thanos until Thanos just said, "Orbital bombardment! Orbital bombardment!
Rain fire!
Our forces, sir, do it!"
And
Your forces.
but with Geraldine, I definitely in episode 2 got the impression Wanda wasn't even supposed to notice her. She was just supposed to be a background character. And then Wanda notices her and introduces herself, and then suddenly, oh shit, I've now gone from extra to minor character.
It's like, what am I supposed to do? My name's Geraldine.
Yeah. And what I read online is that she's supposed to be Rambeau's daughter. Rambeau being Captain Marvel's friend.
From the 90s.
From the early 90s, yeah. So this is now like 25 years later.
Yeah.
So she would be about the age that she is here. So, and she evidently joined up with Sword, and I suspect that's who is all around the outside of Westview, because we saw basically a bunch of like tents and structure sort of set up around Westview.
Well, apparently there's also several AIM references, not just Hydra, because I know that the Hydra stuff is just supposed to be representing Wanda's past.
Yeah.
But like the AIM references are
Like the
all the
hexagons.
hexagon stuff.
Because in the opening credits, there was the hexagons were all over the place for like showing like little clips from supposed previous episodes, sort of.
Yeah, and they had like a semi-Brady Bunch style opening almost.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't exactly.
Only instead of a story of a lovely lady sort of thing, it's
Here's
just
a story. The lovely lady. No, they weren't going for that.
But it was very much instead of like the squares from like the Brady Bunch, it was hexagons.
Yeah.
So I definitely was noticing that, and I'm now like now further questioning the beekeeper if he was. Now I'm not so sure if it was necessarily Swarm so much as it was somebody from Sword, because the emblem on the back of the beekeeper's outfit was Sword, and this was just somebody that was trying to infiltrate Westview, and happened to get noticed. Well, but like the narrative filter, if you will, over Westview, put whatever like suit, like spacesuit sort of thing he was wearing, made it look more like a beekeeper's outfit, and put the bees around him just to fit it. And Wanda was just like, nah, and then just noped him out of existence.
Well, she pretty much hit the rewind and re-record button.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all of the stuff that hints at something else going on comes across as way sinister, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I can't. First off, I can't wait to see the next episode because it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite decades. Is the 80s. That's one of the reasons why I love. One of the things I enjoyed about Wonder Woman 84 was just the fact that it was in the 80s.
80s as hell in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
80s gave us a lot of great things. Me, for example.
And me.
You're not so great. You're the well-acknowledged. You're the landlord. I have to pay money to
I
you.
am the binge czar.
But it's like when I went to go see Captain Marvel, I was like, I'm gonna have some major bad flashbacks, aren't I? And the second I saw things like the Radio Shack, the Game Boy, Blockbuster, the True Lies poster.
Hey, hold on. The phone booths.
Phone booths. Yeah.
Payphones on the side of the
Payphones. Who?
Yeah.
Anybody remember those?
Yeah. When I started seeing all that, I started getting all these flashbacks when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in Washington, they actually have charging posts.
Yeah, that's true. That's what phone booths are going to become. They're just going to revamp them all to give them like fast charge points.
Well, they have them at conventions, so why not?
Yeah, exactly.
They do?
Yeah.
Who remembers conventions?
We do. Everybody at once. We do. Oh, the two depressed ones.
Hey, see, I got in towards the end, and then once I started having fun, it's like, COVID!
It's like, what? It's like, you having too much fun over there, Zeke? You like playing your video games and watching some bands and doing some random stuff at 3 a.m.?
Cool.
Guess what? Now you don't get to do it no more.
Nothing. You just stay home and play video games.
Which, let's be honest, that's pretty much what we were doing at conventions like MagFest. Anyways, is that some of us just basically stayed in the. That's
which
true.
We stayed out of last time
For the most part, we were in our parents' house.
Yeah,
that was the big plus.
No, but last time we actually went to MagFest. Lo and behold, some people got sick off of playing some of those arcade games because some sweaty grognard hadn't washed his hands or something.
He took a shit.
Maybe he's the reason we have COVID now.
He was patient zero.
He was patient zero. The game came true.
They were just trying to say it came from China, but yeah, I can't. Like I said, I can't wait for next week to happen just because I want to see. This progresses.
So 80s. What classic sitcoms do we think they're going to pay homage to?
Oh God, I'm trying to think of something from the 80s.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't really remember.
Mork and Mindy was 70s, right?
Yeah.
Or was that 80s?
Shoot, I think it was either late 70s or early 80s because I know it was a spin-off. I mean, it would be funny if they do a Mork and Mindy style show because this episode was obviously based off Brady Bunch.
Mork and Mindy was 78.
Close.
Very close.
So that's into the early
Married
80s.
with Children. That got started in the 80s.
I was going to ask. I was going to say.
Oh my God! If they actually
no. All in the Family and Married with Children. So this means that. Saved by the Bell started off as a TV show called Good Morning Miss Bliss and then evolved into Saved by the Bell.
And then what was it, 80s or 90s?
80s. Late.
Yeah, but that's teenagers, not family.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the babies are growing up fast. Oh God, now they could do the Married with Children. They have kids now.
That's what I said. Until they have the kids, they can't do the Married with Children.
And now they have two. All they need is a dog.
Well, and we were commenting on a couple of other things, that they would do in this sort of thing. Like,
we haven't seen Vision go to work since the first episode.
This is true because it turned into more of a wacky situations with them.
Well, because work usually, unless it's for the plot, you don't see sitcoms work.
So, well, I think Vision also started suspecting something in the first episode. Also.
Well, yeah, it's just like, what do we do here?
What do we do? Do we sell anything? Do we buy anything? Nope.
Do we make anything? No. Do we buy or sell anything? No and no.
I'm waiting for the 90s.
Oh God, that's gonna be the.
Because I want to see them do a Home Improvement episode. Don't worry, I got this. More power. Vision don't think it's gonna work. Never mind.
Oh, Vision's in the roof now.
Or 90s also was Seinfeld.
Well, you also have. Oh God.
But the problem
No. Family Matters also. You have Family Matters. You could have
Full House.
Yeah, you could
Full
have
House! Yes! Oh my God, how did we forget about Full House?
Probably because John Stamos wanted to fire the Olsen twins.
Cut it out.
I hit you with this chair. No, what was another one? Boy Meets World.
Yeah, that's
more
another one.
school-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, school-based stuff
Well,
isn't really going to work because the
school-based.
focus is still on Wanda.
Yes, but
Whatever
how
can be focused around like the primary family rather than the school
But
itself.
how
This is-
old do you think the kids are going to age by the next episode?
Not very much because all the trailers showed no kids other than her having the kids,
Unless
The
they were
kids
trying
might
to
just-
keep that...
They were trying to keep that a secret.
or they're just gonna snap the kids out and they'll be gone.
No. The Halloween episode is going to be because the kids are now, like... You know, no. They're going to... Because the kids are now, like, 5-6 years old, thereabouts.
So flash forward and you see two piles of dust next to each other.
Oh.
There goes the kids and
Mom-
Wanda, and then Wanda goes, nope.
Mommy, I don't feel so good.
Whoosh.
Oh, God.
And then Wanda resets the whole thing again. Nope.
This just turned real
Someone-
fucking dark.
Someone just walks, talking in casual conversation. Oh, like that time you came back from the Thanos snap.
What?
Nope.
No, and she just goes, and then they're just dust.
Oh, she
What?
does the rewind.
Oh, God, no. What if she just snaps her fingers and the person...
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
She's like, oh,
What if that's going to be one of the fake commercials that it's like for like a vacuum cleaner or something?
No, I was.
Snap on. Snap on.
Instead of the clapper, the snapper.
No. It has to be a jewelry set where all the jewels look like the Infinity Stones.
There you go.
bracelet.
A bracelet or that weird glove thing that I think it was Scarlett Johansson wore.
That's too new. That's too fancy, like modern.
No,
Yeah.
they can 90s it.
But at that point, just make it like a bracelet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
just
I mean, it's a
five,
bracelet with charms on it.
and
Charms.
just, and just X number of easy payments. This can be yours. Sort of
5
thing.
easy payments.
There you go. Well, I was gonna go more for like come up with some sort of number that's maybe like 6 easy payments, 1 for each gem.
Exactly. But yeah, there was the 9 because I think there's like 3 episodes left.
No,
3 or 4?
there's 6 episodes left. It's a 9-episode
Oh,
series.
because if you go on IMDb and you look at like the next like
I
3
looked it up
episodes-
last week.
Well, you get like images from each of the episodes, yeah, I peeked at the '80s one, and it looks like Wanda is doing like has like the '80s like the spandex workout uniform,
That
and
makes
the
sense.
sweatband on.
Yeah. Oh God, the '80s hair and fashion is going to be in full effect next episode.
What, the Farrah Fawcett?
Yeah.
No. What they need to show in the '80s episode is the Walkman that Star-Lord has.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
We need to have somebody walk by with that the headphones on and everything, and you hear a snippet of one of the songs off the Awesome Man. Exactly, like you need to have something, and somebody
Just
doing
someone dancing down the street to it.
Yeah.
what? I mean, like,
And then Wanda just sort of rewinds them out of there.
No, just they would keep it.
Yeah, that's
Just-
true.
honestly, I think Star-Lord would have a blast in this show.
He probably would. Or at least the episodes we've had so far, because it would have been the sort of shit he would have been watching on TV as a little kid on Earth anyway.
Yeah.
You have time to watch TV as a little kid on Earth.
He probably did.
Well, yeah, the ship's name was the Milano.
Yeah. And David Hasselhoff, a Knight Rider.
Yeah, and when he turned into Pac-Man.
Yeah. So,
Waka waka waka.
waka waka waka.
And my dad was watching that movie, and he was like, "Are you serious?"
So I think we've covered enough here so far, unless anyone has any final little points of
What do
discussion.
you guys want to see in like future episodes.
I think we've covered a bunch of that.
Well, I mean,
like, what kind of homages we want to see.
Well, yeah, like, like obviously themes or whatever. Should it go past the 90s into the 2000s, stuff like that.
I want to see more villains, and I want to see the TV head villain.
The TV head villain?
Arnim Zola?
Yes, we keep saying this. I want to see him.
I'm pretty sure they killed him off in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, but you keep saying that. But it'd be awesome if he just becomes a TV head, like a talking TV. That's all I want. Make a commercial as well as episode.
It's entirely possible that during her time with Hydra, Arnim Zola had been involved with Baron Strucker's experiments, and he would have been like just a face on a TV screen.
Well, he did help create Winter Soldier.
Yes.
So.
Because like the one that they did on the Marvel Universe was him just basically stuck in a freaking TV. The one I'm thinking about is always from the TV show where he's a walking TV.
Well, it's just there are plenty of other characters that could. What about MODOK? We hadn't. What if MODOK's somehow involved in all this?
Unfortunately, the only MODOK that we've seen in anything like MCU related was in one of the Iron Man games, and that was it.
Yeah, but those aren't really considered canon.
You don't want to look at the garbage fight over there called Avengers that had the MODOK game?
That's true. Or the Square Enix game.
Crystal Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics, that's what it was. Sorry.
Honestly, I can see them using that version of MODOK in the MCU, because I think it would be the best version to use in the MCU.
Yeah.
Maybe they can, for one of the commercials, they can use the 10 Rings.
10 Rings was really more Iron Man based, and well, it's possible.
It's for the commercials.
It's mentioned a second ring, and I think in one of the movie shorts.
One of the one-shots, Hail to the King, I think.
That's the one.
Dealt with the fake Mandarin.
Finding out that there
is a real Mandarin.
Which we have not seen yet.
Yes.
Please.
But then that comes down to, are the one-shots
yes,
fully
they are.
Okay.
Well, isn't there going to be a Mandarin movie?
Or a movie with the Mandarin?
Was Shang-Chi supposed to have something to do with Mandarin?
I think so. I haven't really read what they're planning on doing with Shang-Chi. I'll just know it's called Shang-Chi and the Rings of Power, 10 Rings, something along the lines of that.
You got rid of the Infinity Stones. Next comes the jewelry.
Something else that I thought about this over the last week, and it just suddenly occurred to me again. So, going back to Sword, they deal with a lot of extraterrestrial threats. Nick Fury, that space station or whatever that he was on at the end of Spider-Man 2, pretty sure that was probably a Sword base.
Probably, seeing as how they're working with the Skrull now.
Yep.
Which is weird to see, because Skrulls are typically villains.
Yeah, but I like how they sort of turned it on its head.
Yeah. And made the Kree the villains.
Well, not like the Kree have necessarily all been heroes.
No.
Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel anyway, not Carol Danvers, was Kree. And
she got her powers from Kree blood.
Yeah. Well, in the comics anyway. In MCU, she got it because she touched an Infinity Stone.
No, it's because of explosion and then
Infinity explosion.
Yeah, basically
based off of a Kree.
Space radiation can do anything.
Well, yeah.
Just ask the Fantastic Four.
So I'm doing some research, and if my guess is right, we said there's 9 episodes, which means the 9th episode will end on March 5th, which then Falcon and Winter Soldier starts on March 19th.
If they are still holding to that.
Yes.
Because they could push it back. If Black Widow's getting pushed back again, because I've heard talk that it might get pushed back again. And if Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to have some sort of connection to Black Widow.
Which was my theory why they pushed it back to begin with.
Then they might push back Falcon and Winter Soldier again.
Gee,
unless that piece is in a later episode, and then the movie's going to come out just before that episode.
Kind of like they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how there was like the episode that took place after Thor Dark World.
Real big
yes.
F you if you're watching the show, you don't get a chance to see the movie, you see this show before the movie. Unless they put up a big warning like, yeah, go see this first.
Kind of like they did before the Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that spoiled the end
Tom
of
Holland,
Endgame.
of all people, said, if you haven't seen Endgame, don't watch this. I'm like, motherfucker, you are one to talk right now.
I think that's why they did it, because that makes it funny.
Yeah.
Well,
Just like, why cast Bill Burr in a Star Wars show? Because it's funny.
Or have Captain America do that video at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. So you waited the entire time only to be disappointed. How many more of these are we doing?
I love it when they get meta with stuff like that.
Not too often.
Not too often, but it's good when they do it.
See, this makes me laugh like Sony fanboy. I don't have to wait for push. Oh, no, I've been in Morbius.
Yeah.
But yeah, they push back Morbius.
Everything's been pushed back. I mean, at this point,
everyone's too scared not to make the money.
At this point, James Bond is not going to come out until 2022. They've pushed it back to October. It's now going to be released like a year after it was originally a year and a half after it was supposed to be released.
It was supposed to be done in summer last year.
And because people can't wear their fucking masks or social distance,
It got pushed back.
It got pushed back, and then it got pushed back, and pushed back, and pushed back. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we also got to say, it's not just here.
Yeah.
Because they expect money from overseas, too.
Yes. And
so they're on lockdown completely.
And since the UK is now on its third lockdown.
Full lockdown.
Yeah, full lockdown.
Thou shalt not leaveth thy house unless essential.
Boris, that means you stay at number 10. No, you can't go on a booty call.
Oh, God, that goddamn rule.
Anyway, I think that wraps up this edition of the Bingecast. So, for Chris, Sam, Zeke, and Nami, I'm Jay, and we'll see you next week when we'll watch episode 4 for the children.
For the children.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Thanks for listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast. Be sure to check out our library of past podcasts via CKCC Radio or via our YouTube channel, and give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you after our next binge.